attitude, that is one thing that we control, no matter how much money you have. How is your health? You control your energy and your attitude. And that is part of, I like to say, part of the DCG operating system. Right. A lot of times, we talk about, um, you know, traumas and things that, trading is a lifestyle, and we experience a lot of different emotions in the market. And on a day-to-day basis, we experience life. And yeah, I like to, coming into 2026, I said that, we were trading, we were kind of changing and transforming from just traders to, how we operate. And one of the things that I had when I was in the Marine is a field operation guide, right? And it was, kind of going over, how you operate as a Marine, what is the standards. And so I was thinking about that last night, and I was like, we need a DCG field operator guide of, what are some of the standards and what are some of the, ideas, right? And you have different standards based on the experience and based on, how you approach it as a trading. I just wanted to go over kind of the how to operate, a DCG field guide, what to do before the screen, during the session, after the close, and go over some of the things that when I hop on coaching calls, right? I notice that there's certain things that new people experience, people that's been here, and sometimes we just need a reminder, right? We need a reminder of how should we operate. The same thing as parents. I was talking to my wife when we were saying it, how every generation thinks that, man, these kids are different, right? And I know that our parents thought that we were different and we operated different on the kids. And I'm looking at my daughter and looking at younger kids and like, man, they operate different. But in DCG, in trading, right? It's all about behavior and perception of what we see, right? And running a process, a routine. Every Sunday night we have a weekly call, right? And that kind of starts off our week. And we hope that everybody in the mastermind kind of take that call as a weekly planning call to get prepared for the week. And we always say that trading starts the night before. So, no matter what time I wake up, I like to run these routines so I feel prepared. And so I have this session. I want to share this document with everybody here on this call. Wednesdays, I noticed that, see, people, sometimes they hear on Wednesday and sometimes they just wake up and they're late, don't show up. And, to me, every day is just a routine, whether you trade or not. And so, one is, if you've been here, I have section 6, right? The most experienced regressions. And then from 0 to 5, it's, things like the first 30 days, right? And normally in trading, the first 30 days, when you join a trading group or just in general for Mastermind, right? It's really, I can't say it's just about winning. It's about proving that you had a time, that you are able to follow a system, create a system. And that is, when I talk to people, they're like, oh, I never use, Thinkorswim. I never use TradingView, right? It's really just getting familiar with, one, do you control your time? Do you have time, right? What time is available? Some of the, what type of trader you're going to become, right? And so who you are becoming is a big part of trading. And, a trader or an operator, we call it DCG operator, never feels, it's not that we never feel the pressure. We never feel, the excitement, right? We are trying to establish a system that still works when you feel excited, when you feel pressure, when you feel nervous, right? Are we able to implement a system and a routine that we can, go through all the ups and downs of the market, right? So whether the market is, volatile or not, Sunday night we still have a call. Whether feel like trading or going to trade or not, we still have a call. I still have a morning call, right? These are just creating an identity, right? Everybody here has, same person, same responsibility, same house, same weight you're already carrying. The only difference is, we want you to be able to implement and operate a system you trust on a clock that you own, right? Based on your time. So everybody here in the mastermind, you know, um, is operating a system, right? And it's not supposed to be that, hey, trading is going to be super easy or, you just get it, right? It's we supposed to have a system that says, hey, it's learnable, right? Hey, we have a momentum indicator. Hey, there's a lot of volatility in the market, but we know what to do. And so the goal is, for us to pick up a system where we're not depending on other people to tell us what to do every day in the market. So that is, part of the DCG identity is that, we are DCG free, meaning that even in the markets, eventually we're going to make our own plan, right? We're not just taking a signal. So it's not a signal group. And then inside this guide, right, it's like we want to know if we have a process and a plan, right? The plan governs the order, not the feeling. We don't want nobody to come in the market just, oh man, I feel like trading this, I feel like trading that. There is a reason. We also want to have risk defined, right? Before you even turn on the screen, you know what you're willing to risk before you even take a trade, and it's already defined of what your max loss is going to be, right? You shouldn't come in the market, you know, and all of a sudden you say, "Man, I lost, you know, everything." Right? That should never happen with a defined risk, right? Review, right? Being able to review the market, review your trades, right? Know what you did wrong. Um, you know, have a review today based on your plan the night before, right? You don't want to be reviewing things based on your memory, and then time contained, right? If you're able to do it with the time that you have, right? Where you're not able, Mike last night talked about, traders, hopping in for 10, 15 minutes, be like, oh, I need a trade, right? That's not how the market works. It's like, are we able to take a trade based on the time um, that we're able to allocate, and what are we looking for in that time? So that is, part of the system, right? And between week 4 and 10, right, you should feel comfortable with the platform. And if you lose a trade, right, take a losing trade, even if it follows your plan, you understand that you lose money, but you not feel bad about it. You understand that's part of a plan that just, sometimes it doesn't work out, even when you have a good plan. And that's a turning point in trading. Not your first winning trade, your first clean losing trade, where you understand that, um, that's just part of trading. And that can be expected the same way that a win can be expected, right? And so that is the point of this operator guide is, um, you know, how they account for the losses, how they account for the wins. It's supposed to be just a normal operating process. All right. And then your standards in DCG, it doesn't change because of a win, a loss, a busy week, or a setup looks obvious, right? Um, you know, the standards, that's another thing is that, I was talking about boundaries and standards, right? Boundaries is, walls you put up. Standards is the expectations, right? And so the expectations is that we have a plan first, right? No order before your pre-market checklist is done and timestamp. We know what trades that we're looking at. Creating that first is having a plan, right? And what invalidates that, right? When does your plan no longer become valid? All right. And if you don't know what invalidates your trade, you can't know the sides that you trade. And then that means that you basically just trading blind. All right. And then size comes from your validation distance and your written account risk limit, right? So when you have a fixed risk, right, it's like saying that, hey, the trades I take, I'm gonna spend $1,000, right? And I'm risking $1,000 every day, and my max loss is 500, right? That could be a defined plan that, hey, I take a trade, it's going to be up to $1,000, but I'm only, I'm willing to risk 500 of it, right? And then the loss cap, right? Your daily losses. Hey, if I lose $1,000 in a day, right? I'm actually done for the day, right? I know how to end the session, right? My strategy is still good, but I'm ending the session if I'm down 1,000, right? Or if I'm down 200, whatever your loss cap is for the day, right? And then grade every setup, A, B, C before the order, right? A win never promotes a B setup into an A setup after the fact, right? If you define and you say, hey, this is a half size trade, and here's my plan, right? If I take a B size trade, I'm only going to do half. So if I take a full size trade, it was 1,000. A B side trade is 500, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to put more in now, right? That you want to establish the grade first. That a trade is fresh catalyst. You got it at a key level. The ES is moving up, right? That is defined, right? And these are kind of like non-negotiables on your standards, right? Journal the same day before memory softens detail. Like, trying to journal at the end of the week and be like, all right, what did I do on Monday? What did I do on Tuesday? Right? How did I feel on a winning trade? Right? Journaling, even on the good trades, is actually really important because you know the feeling. You know exactly what you did right. Most people journal when they have a bad trade so they can remember the bad trade of how they felt and what they did wrong. But also journaling, your good trades is kind of the most important, right? Because you want to repeat the good trades, all right? And you also want to understand, exactly how the good trade worked. All right, and then the score order, right? Process, risk, execution, outcome, right? You don't want to, score a trade by, oh man, I made, $3,000 on that trade, right? You want to score the trade by what was the process? How much did I risk, right? How did I execute it, right? And these are the non-negotiables of having a standard in DCG, right? And you know, some people they go in and they're using one system and all of a sudden they change everything overnight. And that almost starts your entire QA all over again because you don't know, you just change the entire system. So if you're gonna, add a new indicator, you add an indicator to something you've already been using, right? And this way, um, you can measure how that, change, that tweak impacted, right? And then how you can understand how it impacts your trade, right? A no trade is following written conditions law that's successful decision, not a blank, not a mistake. So imagine, he says, man, if I don't get 3 hours of sleep, at least if I have an argument right before the market opens, right, that is a no trade day, right? And that is considered a good decision, right? Not that, oh man, I just woke up late and I missed the day, right? I missed a call, right? You want to have established no trade days, right? You can have a trade day after your first 5 successful trades, the sixth one, you're gonna skip. All right. Screen close at the end of the block. So if I say, hey, I only want to be in the market 2 hours at a time, right? And I trade from 7 to 9, and I say, hey, once 9 o'clock hit, I'm gonna hit my stop, right? I'm gonna close my screen, let it run, and my stop is there. If I says that's my container, or if I says, hey, you know what, I'm only trading, I'm only gonna be in a screen for 4 hours at any one time, and after that, I walk away, right? That is, no reopening, no hopping back in. Let me just get back in for a couple of minutes. You want to have your containers established. So, one of the containers I have is, at 12 o'clock, I go to sleep. I try to get 5 hours of sleep, right? Because if I can't get 5 hours of sleep, then I shouldn't really be trading the next day. So if I wake up at 5 a.m., I need to be asleep by 12. I need to at least be in a bed, right? Just a container, right? If you can't go to sleep at a certain time, right? that should, you need to have that container. The structure is right. Just saying the scanners, the gates, right? I need to see a 10 on my scanner. So if I look at a scanner and come over here and say, hey, you know what? I'm trading uh, Oracle, right? I want to see, yes is all the way across. I want to see inflow, and I understand pre-market. I might not see it, but this is part of um, a trading decision, right? And that's just something that you can see the structure, right? Just would never make it for you, right? It's let it confirm, right? So you want to see it actually confirm before the screen, right? Before you even start trading, um, before the platform is open, you bring the plan to the market. So you do not build a plan from the market, right? So I had a plan right over here that I did last night. So I already kind of know from last night what I was looking for from CPI, right? Which is bullish, the bearish, the risk, right? One of the trades that I was looking CRWB that had earnings last night, right? I want to bring the plan to the market before the market opens. So this way, when I go take a look uh, at a trade, I already said I wanted to buy 100 calls on CRWB. That's a plan I'm bringing to the market before it opened, right? And that is on a earnings beat. So 30 to 45 minutes before every session, right? It's, you do not build a plan for the markets, right? And this is the single highest value in DCG is that we also have an idea before the market even opens or before we even hit the market. So here's a pre-market checklist, right? That's kind of in line with the operator, with the path, with our scanner. Right. This is kind of just I'm using what we have, but this is any pre-market checklist, right? I want to know the market condition named in one sentence, trend, range, or event driven. Today it's event driven, right? On CPI, and we're looking for those numbers. Schedule events, right? That is the CPI, and then you had the open. Name setups, right? After earnings catalyst, breakouts, key levels, right? I'm looking at ES, I'm looking at CRWB to, if it retests anything low, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm looking at Oracle. I wanted to break out of the 152 level, right? I'm in at 145. I wanted to break out of that level for me to hold. If not, right, I'll take my profits from yesterday, right? These are predefined. And then here we have the mobile gate, some of these same sectors that are aligned with the operator path, right? Size calculated, daily loss limit, right? 3 no trade conditions for the day, right? What is the conditions I will not trade, right? Now, if the market all of a sudden drops below 77.20, and within 10 minutes, right? If CPI and the market opens, then it'll be like, hey, that's that threw me off. So write your 3 no trade conditions first, right? I didn't get any sleep. If I didn't get, only got 3 hours of sleep, if I come in, my internet goes down, right? I'm not going to trade if my internet just goes out for the first 30, 45 minutes, right? And so these are wish or no trade conditions, right? At least 3 of them. All right, during the session, one block of 60 to 120 minutes, not scattered across the day. So do I have a 60-minute session? Do I have 1 hour to at least be in the market, right? You are executing a plan that already exists. That's a session time. So I'm not planning a trade unless I know I have 1 hour that I can commit to it, right? And that is just, these are standards, right? Run these in your head, right? The 4 session rules. This is one of my name setups that I structure justified before the tool did, right? Am I inside my window, right? I'm not trading at midnight, right? So my window is between 7 and 9, right? And that is the block that I plan to trade. Now, all of a sudden, if I had to take my kid to school and I missed the 9 o'clock, 7 to 9 o'clock, or I can attend the call, right? This means that, I will manage my trades while I'm out. I will exit. I will not take any new trades if I had to deviate from that plan. All right. Once the order is live, your invalidation is not negotiable. All right. If you said, hey, I'm gonna only lose 500, right? In the live, and now all of a sudden you down 600, 700, you don't invalidate that. Like, it's not negotiable. You're supposed to get out at 5, right? At a loss. Or you saying, hey, I'm taking $1,000 in profit today, right? Once the order is live, you want that to be your rule, right? Unless the market structure changed where you're like, oh, it just blew past all of that. Now I'm going to hold it, right? And that is, you put your stop at 1,000, so you still get stopped out at 1,000. All right. After the close, you should have, a process. I see some of us like to run an after-hour process. Some of us like to, right? I know that, after the market close, I know that I'm going to run my after-hours script, right, before I go to sleep. So this way I have an entire plan that I read before I went to sleep, right? And I had money rotation. So this way in the morning after this call, I got 30 minutes to confirm which changed, right? And what fresh catalyst, right, is still valid. So SMCI reported, CRWB reported. This all started the night before. HRB, which was earnings. So I can go take a look at SMCI. I can take a look at, where they gapped up to. Where do I want to buy it if it dips down, because I had these listed. And then I'll go through my watch list that I had for the week, right? And I'll look and see what's moving. So B, I took a trade yesterday at B at 210 on my call. I took Oracle, right? Let's see, Marvel is up right now. I have an Oracle. That was my biggest position yesterday. So I already know that my trading day is not going to be long, right? Because I already have some things that I'm going to stop out. I'm going to take profits. And then it's like, all right, if I got this 210 and I have it for next week, when do I get out, or do I put a stop in and let it go? So those are after the close, right? I have a night process, and you want to write what happened today. You want to score before you look at your P&L. So I haven't even looked at the P&L. I want to set up my grade and entries, right? And that's after, right? And even if you don't trade, they get an entry as well, right? If you didn't trade, you still want to do a process after the market close. So only day that even Saturdays, I still collect data, but Saturday is probably the one day that you say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to, be trading after the Saturday call, right? So I'm not taking any crypto trades on Saturday, and Friday after 1, I'm not taking any trades, but I'm still going to, accumulate information or journal. All right. When it goes wrong, the playbook, right? Regressions almost never starts at the order. It starts at a feeling, right? And then it becomes a pattern. So you have a trigger, you tell yourself a story, you get an impulse, you break a rule. Now your P&L goes down. Now you're thinking like, man, I suck as a trader. And now you have more urgency. That's normally a story when things go wrong, right? And you want to catch the story and the impulse, right, before the P&L becomes a teacher, right? And some people keep saying, I mean, I just keep taking trades. You say you weren't going to trade before 7, and every day you're taking a trade at 640. It's like, well, I thought you said you were going to wait. You were going to wait, right? And so that's when it goes wrong. Right? You took a loss and you want to get it back. So I go through some different playbooks that people experience, right? You had a just big win and you want to press now, right? It's Wednesday and you're not traded all week. And so you're like, I got to hop in now, right? CPI just happened, right? The activity feels like progress. Man, I held out for 2 days. Now I can get in the market on Wednesday, right? And the trade is force. Trade you force is never the trade you plan, right? And so, right, if you didn't plan it out the night before, right? I have some of these trades that I planned out on the weekend, right? That's what my entire watch list is, right? I was looking at trades um, from the weekend, and now CPI has hit, as a release, and the market is moving up, right? So I want to confirm after this call, right? I have my strategy for CPI, and I was anticipating, right, the news coming out, do nothing, map the first acceptance range, cash market opens, primary execution windows, right? And now I'm looking for the 9.5 bullish scenario on ES, right? What level is breakout level, right? Um, Above the 77.80, right? Acceptance above 77.60, right? And then, right, condition, ES, reclaim SMH strength. So look at the semiconductors, right? These are all plans that we come into the market, right? Even on this mindset call. During this call, I'm confirming, right, what it was. And so I have a bunch of stuff. Your week, right? How the standard in DCG, your weekly reset, right? Sunday you spend 60 minutes to look at the market. That's what just happens in DCG. Right? Pre-market plan, 30 minutes before the market opens. Have your checklist. Live a time step plan, 3 written no trade conditions. Your block of time that you can trade. 60. This is for me personally, right? But 60 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. It's just that my plan is written out the standard, right? I know that I need 60 minutes to trade at least, right? And I'm not going to trade no longer than 120 minutes. So 2 hours is max. 30 to 45 minutes is what I need at least before the market opens, right? 15, 30 minutes after the market shuts down, right? Wednesday, right? I'm looking at my P&L compliance. If I follow my plan, any trades, that I'm in and I held should be from my list, right? So any of the plays that I'm in right now holding, I want to check and be like, hey, are these the trades that I anticipated having, right? And then Friday, the weekly close, right? 45 minutes. I got a process on my calendar that I close my trades, but also even pay my bills. So on a Friday, I got a schedule, check finances, right? And pay bills 30 minutes after the market is done. So that's just a process that I'm having, right? I don't try to trust the market on Saturdays, right? After the tune-up call, right? I'm going to the gym. I'm, hanging out with the family. That's a boundary. All right. The 15 qualities in your proof. So the mindset, right? You judge yourself on the plan you follow, not the P&L, right? A loss inside the plan is complete. A win outside the plan is broken, right? These are just establishing the processes of what it means to have standards, right? Losses are data, not verdicts. Don't mean you're a bad trader, but you are learning from the losses. The plan comes before the screen, right? Knowing that I have setups that I'm looking at or I'm thinking about before the trading day starts, right? And inside DCG, contribute before you consume. Try to get in the mindset of sharing something in DCG, right? And so people share their losses more than their wins, but you want to share both, right? And then you want to not be lurking, right? Only looking for signals, right? You also want to post data, right? And that's your contribution to question ratio, right? Is it visible that you are also contributing? Because when you contribute, you're preparing yourself, right? Ask real questions, not reassurance questions, right? Should I sell this? Is this good? Like, if you are not defining the levels, right? That's not a real question, right? You want to ask real questions like, and produce real documentation, right? The crabs does not consume the life. So I'm able to take a break out of trading, right? I'm able to work in these containers, right? I'm still able to go to the gym, right? I'm still able to, go on vacation, right? And then has trading made you more present and not less, right? Less resentment about financial waste, more attention to the people around you, right? I realize I trade for my, for my kids, so I can actually be present. So these are just reminders of the standards of, how we operate, how you talk, right? Are you positive? Are you telling yourself negative or positive stories, right? What you say about trading, right? What you don't say. Man, I feel like this is gonna move, right? That feeling gets you in trouble sometimes, right? And this is just the self audit card. I know that it is 6 o'clock, so I want to break my rules. I want to give everybody their morning back, and I just saying that you're not expected to be profitable in your first 30 days. You're expected to still be learning and be able to prove it with the journal, a system, right? Right. We don't want to sell something. We want you to understand, at least in your 30 days, what you're doing, right? They go through, 2 or 3 months and a person don't even know what they're doing. They're just taking signals, right? It's kind of like that's not the standard in DCG. We want people to be free. If Mike doesn't show up, if Brandon's on vacation, if I'm not here, we want to make sure people still operate. All right. So that's what the mindset is about. Is are you able to become a operator? Are you going to have a reliable process, right? And that shows up in your calendar. It shows up in your attitude. It shows up in your life, right? In your journal, and that is part of the operator plan that we just created here, and I shared inside the chat. So it's just a reminder, right? Is this presentation shareable? Oh no, to a potential mastermind, not to another group. All right. So yeah, you can share it, but yeah, this is for mastermind members. This is our little, what we expect. But it's all good, all love. All right. I appreciate you guys. See you in the market. Man, Oracle is moving for me. Man, I'm having a great Wednesday. It is Wednesday, Money Wednesday. All right. On that note, I'll be on the call at 7:30. I don't know how much trading I'm gonna do. All right, let me share it again for you, Mr. Diamond. And also, if you can, send me a message in WhatsApp. I know that you are all right here. All right. We're gonna get you locked in. All right. All right, all good. So this is the operator field. This is our standards from DCG. You see a lot of questions and how we supposed to operate. Now, I set a stop loss. I set a limit sell for Oracle. I'm going to remove it. It's at 152 now. All right, on that note, peace out.